Welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome back to round one of the League That Means Nothing, Season 3, 54 players, bigger, better, means even less. I am with you as always as your voice of the league, Ian Holland, and joining me today, all the way from California, is Lupine Fiasco. How's it going?
Doing well. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, I remember seeing all your Zen gameplay on your channel and thought, who better to comment on this game?
Really a Zen master over here. No one knows the hero better than I do.
Absolutely. So you can tell us everything that Mauricio is doing on Zen that is probably better than it should be. I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
figure it out.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, I'm here to.
we have a game today between Zen, Tamer of Purpose, the big bad from the last format, and probably still one of the top decks in this one, taking on Riptide, Lurker of the Deep, a hero that hasn't really broken through into the meta just yet. How do you see this one shaking out?
And now, if we're going based on statistics and just who's been top eighting what, then I have to give it to Zen. At the same time, even back in Mistveil, Riptide was supposed to be this kind of sleeper pick into Zen. He had good tech into it, fatigue trap, battering bolt. Remorseless is always good. So if that carried over, Riptide did get support in Rosetta in the expansion slot. I could see this going to Riptide. I think the burden of winning is on Riptide, but I don't think it is quite as doomed as you might think just by looking at the player on the right.
Interesting. Okay, with that out of the way, I guess we'll just throw over to the game and see how this one shakes out.
The League That Means Nothing is brought to you in part by the Sigillit Games. Go and check them out on Etsy. This is one of the altars that you can come to expect from the Sigillit Games. Shiny foil treatment to the back of Flesh and Blood cards to really spice up your battlefield. Make sure you go and check them out when you can and use the code GAG4ALTS to get 10% off your order. Cheers, Toby. Let's get back to the tournament.
Okay, so it looks like we have Zen going first, leading off with a Tiger Tamer Kakara trying to get two reds out of their hand pretty quickly. Riptide blocking with a melting point. Pretty solid buff, but not really a buff that's going to have a lot of text into Zen because there's no way you would bring needles or daggers into this matchup.
No, definitely. It is a 3-block. It is a pump, and it makes sense that Riptide is using the opportunity to filter it here. Be interested to see what the rest of Zen's hand looks like, where he's just trying to get reds out of it.
Absolutely. Possibly getting a blue in Arsenal to set up some transcending. But Riptide going to start by loading a battering bolt with the Barbed Castaway and sending it in for 6. A card that you called out rightly in the analysis, because if Zen can't block 6 and is holding a transcend card or something, that's going to the graveyard and they're losing life.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Zen still has all the equipment, even with a hand of 2 non-blocks and 2 2-blocks. Zen could cover this, but just being on turn 1, none of this equipment is anything Zen wants to block with. But he does have the 3 blocks. Some pretty good ones, though. Mounting Chi and Mauling Chi. So Riptide definitely getting what he wanted out of that turn cycle, which is getting reds out of Zen's hand, reducing incoming damage.
And we're pitching to chase the tails to attack with the Kakara. So this is, I think you could call this a fail state of Zen.
The 2-card 2 is historically not good in Ninja.
And it's even worse with a Tarpit Trap giving up a point of value to the Zen as well.
This is absolutely a slow start from Zen. I think you're right that there probably is a blue in Arsenal, but Zen sure would like to see more than 1 blue in the top 7 cards of his deck.
Yeah. If it's something like a Levels of Enlightenment, that could really open up the game in the next turn or two. But we have a Lace with Inertia, which is a Riptide trigger to get a free reload. And let's see what we have to follow up. Bolton shot.
Bolton shot 7 with go again. Reload effect is potentially active if it hits. I don't see Zen trying to block this unless he has another D-react. We already saw him pitch one sink below. There could
Yeah.
be another sink. There could be a flick flack, but again, Zen really not wanting to need to block if he can avoid it.
Yeah, looks like we're blocking 3 at least on this. And that's what was in Arsenal after all. It was a sink below. So far we've seen one blue out of the Zen. Zen sinking a card, possibly looking for that all important blue to do some transcending with. And Riptide is just going to pass to the end of turn.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I feel like if Zen had the ability to pop off and transcend that turn, he probably just rip it and take the 7. And instead,
there's got another blue out of Zen. Worth noting that if Zen is drawing 7 or 8 reds in a row, not only is that reducing his potential offensive output, but it also means that he's going to start drawing these 3 or 4 blue hands. And as much as Zen wants to transcend, he also wants to do something else in the turn cycle.
Yeah. It looks like we're just going for a 2 and Enlightened Strike, choosing draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty desperately looking for something, I imagine, to get this train rolling. But also, very importantly, choosing 5 of an Enlightened Strike doesn't enable any of Riptide's power traps.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, if you had buffed here, you get to Buzzsaw trap them. If you give go again, Collapsing Trap, I believe, is the most punishing card for Ninja. John, you're a bit of a Ninja expert as a Fi guy.
Played the class before. Yeah, Collapsing
Just once or
Trap
twice.
would have been impactful. The Collapsing Trap has more value on Zen's 5-card hand where he's really trying to pop off. Playing it here would have been nice if Zen had a card in hand, maybe looking to Arsenal it. He does get rid of that.
Yeah.
But Zen does have pretty good counterplay for the Collapsing Trap if he can maybe put a Tiger or 2 into his hand first.
And Riptide is going to plan for the worst. Look at the hand in Arsenal. At the beginning of the next end phase, they discard all cards in their hand and destroy cards in their arsenal. Search your deck for up to 3 traps, reveal them, put them into your hand. And then shuffle 2 cards from your hand into your deck. That's going to be an interesting one, but it looks like Zen has at least found a way to transcend here. And there's that Collapsing Trap we were talking about.
That's the Collapsing Trap. The Collapsing Trap is going to be relevant here, as Zen has the potential to play something like Wind Chakra into Homage to Ancestors, gain a life, get a resource, transcend, pitch the Chi to find Chase the Tail with that aspect of Tiger. But of course, Chase the Tail becomes much worse when Zen has to discard the aspect.
I would think if you could set it up. Yeah. So obviously, Riptide is hoping to hang on to this Collapsing Trap here. But so that's what the Riptide is going to get. And I imagine you're now going to have to try and play around it or just play through it. Just kind of force them to do it.
Playing through it seems like a possibility. If Zen did want to grab Chase the Tail, he does have the Pouncing Paws. It hasn't blocked, so that would be a point of lost value for Zen. But he could at least play the Tiger from hand, play Chase the Tail from Banish, get Collapsing Trapped, and then have Pouncing Paws available. He could also just luck into another aspect off the top of the deck. It's pretty unlikely, but the potential is there.
Looks like the life gain from Homage to Ancestors was missed in this game. Let's hope it doesn't come down to a single point of life at the end of the day. I've been there. I've missed a point of value or 2 and it cost me a game.
Well, against Riptide, too. That point of life can make a huge difference when you're trying to just end a game and they happen to have Target Trap number 3 or Frailty Trap number 3, and your Ninja, your entire hand has go again.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Riptide does win and Zen at that point of life mattered, we can reference this as the turn that lost it.
Absolutely. Now, I wonder, with that Cosmic Awakening in hand, you're obviously planning on having that as a potential endgame. Is it worth
We'll
it
see.
just sending the Kakara here and forcing Riptide? Like, do you want to do it now? There, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just, do you want to trap me now or do you want to trap me later? Because if the earlier Riptide traps here, the better for Zen. Just the potential of
What's
having more cards.
interesting about trapping now is that this Crouching Tiger is in Zen's hand. So discarding the Crouching Tiger to Collapsing Trap would potentially turn off Chase the Tail, but also let Zen draw an extra card after the Collapsing Trap. So we'll see what Riptide decides to do here, because there's an upside and a downside. I mean, the nice thing about Chase the Tail from Zen's side is it is just 1 for 4, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't have Go Again, or even if it doesn't do the thing.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for Zen to make sure that Cosmic Awakening is still in the deck should this go into kind of a fatiguey state.
Exactly.
Looks like we're getting a Boulder Trap activation. Interesting. So that means the Collapsing Trap has been shuffled back into the deck.
Okay. So Zen
And
just gets to run wild with his turn, which is very strong for Zen. This Crouching Tiger is now followed by Chase the Tail, Aspect of Tiger, Crouching Tiger. And Zen gets to dodge the Arsenal Destruction effect of Plan for the Worst. He just plays out the hand and goes with 4 next turn.
Yeah, and I understand putting the -1 counter on something like the Traverse, but I feel like Zen would block with a Traverse if it blocked for 0. Just on the right turn.
I think it's between... It could have been Shuko. The -1 counter has the same effect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Putting it on Pouncing Paws doesn't really do anything. It's always going to be 1 point of value no matter what. The only wrong choice I'd say is the Kasaya, because Kasaya always has its fail state of pitch a chi,
Make a Zen state. Which, again, can become very useful against a Riptide who's trying to kill you when you're down to the last 6 or 7 points of life with just trapping you out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got...
Putting it on the Traverse is nice. It does mean that Zen cannot put something like Bisaya Traverse 2 block in front of a Battering Bolt and then keep the chi. It
That's
does
true.
open Zen up to needing to give an extra card on a Battering Bolt, Weakest Link, Command and Conquer turn, because he is hoping to block 6 and keep that chi. So Zen pushing some decent damage, Riptide just blocking out and drawing up.
Yeah, more importantly for our Zen, there's now a chi in our deck, so our Traverse is live.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So going to use Sharpshooters to load a Stone Rain, and we're going to release the tension. So this is going to be a Stone Rain for 7, and on hit,
7.
Banish a card from their hand that they don't get back. And it has Dominate because of the aim counter.
Yep.
We're seeing, obviously, the breaking of the Sharpshooter arms and the playing of Stone Rain, both cards from the Azalea Armory deck, supposedly an Azalea deck. I think a bigger boon to Riptide players out there for the most part.
What I've heard. And Riptide using them to great effect here. So Zen is going to have a hard time covering this up. It will reduce the impact of his upcoming turn.
Yeah.
And Zen just says no blocks. So I'm going to send a 3-card hand and then get this 4th card back for the arsenal.
Think about that card, because it's banished until the end phase. It plays around any sort of effects that would make you discard your hand or anything like that. Or anything like if you had given them a Seek and Destroy effect, something like that. As the turn player, they can just let it resolve in the order that's most beneficial for... that's a good one. So, asking, as someone who hasn't played very much Riptide, but has probably played against it once or twice, a deck that loves to Arsenal like a Ranger and plays a lot of defense reactions, Command and Conquer seems like a good include in that matchup.
Be interested to see what Zen's arsenal was, because keeping 2 blues and a Command and Conquer led to a fine turn. A 3-card 8 is slightly below rate, but not too much. I do wonder if that fourth card was also a blue, and maybe we are starting to see the down then drawing 8 reds in the top 8 cards of his deck.
Quite possibly. So let's see what we have from the Riptide. Obviously, the other half of that is the Zen gets, with something like Stoner, and gets to choose what they put in their, what they banish face down. So another release of tension from Riptide. So, for the Zen's sake, they're hoping it's not going to be a defense reaction in Arsenal. This is going to be a properly big arrow, though, from Riptide with a immobilizing shot for 10. So
this is a very spicy turn.
Yeah, no defense reactions from Arsenal. On hit, inertia, so that you can't hold on to a setup. And combining that inertia with the ability to only attack with one attack action is incredibly powerful. We see this play pattern a lot from like the likes of Azalea combining Seek and Destroy and Redden the Ledger. So,
absolutely. Making it so that your opponent cannot play out their entire hand, and then punishing them for not playing out their entire hand is a really great way to punish the aggro deck, make sure that they can't get full value. And while Zen does play a number of instants in the deck, they are all chi. They all transcend. They say, make a tiger, get an action, go wide on this turn. And immobilizing shot says, well, you can play your instance, you can get your chi, but you can't use it for anything.
Yeah. So we're just going to see what looks like a block for 5 with the levels and 100 wins. And 2 cards and an arsenal. So we do have our inertia, and we get to attack with our Kakara. We get to attack with 1 attack action. But that is about it in terms of what can happen here. And then any setup that we were planning on doing has just gone already by the wayside thanks to something like that inertia. But it looks like our Zen has a non-attack action, which is not something you regularly see. They run exactly maybe 6
Wind Chakra, and I was thinking, this could be Ancestral Harmony. But this is the perfect 2-card setup for Zen to take advantage of the immobilizing shot, getting to transcend, putting another chi into the deck. The Wind Chakra giving +3 to a potential tiger. Depending on what Zen's arsenal is, this could be something like pitch the chi to Kakara, and then pitching the chi into Zen. So this will be interesting. Let's see what Zen does with this, noting that the Crouching Tiger is the first action, is the only attack action card.
I suspect we might see an Enlightened Strike putting something to the bottom, but it could be. But you really don't want to IP yourself with a tiger in hand.
Yeah. Which it looks like the Zen... Okay, so the Zen does have inertia, so the tiger is going to go into deck. I'm interested to know what the value calculation from Mauricio was on that. Because if he does not... He could just fail to find with Zen. Pitch the chi, make your tiger, don't grab a card with combo, and then tiger for 3 because of the Wind Chakra. Instead, choosing to use that floating resource from the Kasaya and attack for 5 is 2 more points of value. That's great. You're pushing damage. Very cool for Zen to do. But now there's a tiger in the deck. The tiger doesn't block. The tiger doesn't have any attack power. And there is absolutely the potential for that tiger to come up at the worst possible time when Zen either needs to prevent loss of life or he's staring down one of the 2 battering bolts that Abigail still has in deck. Very interesting decision there, and I wonder if that 2 points of value is worth it.
But Abigail just taking the damage here, going to 19. Yeah, no. That tiger could come up at the worst possible time. Like, you might not believe it from the games we've played against each other every now and again, but I do get phenomenally unlucky.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. Just simply play against me in Pro Tour London. Then I'll skate my way to top 8. But otherwise, you draw one of those Aurora hands where you have 3 somersaults and you're like, oh, great. Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to see
Imagine playing Aurora in London.
Yeah, we have a melting point from the Riptide using Riptide's text to reload. Pitching a yellow, so we have one floating. Riptide, obviously a very red heavy deck using that. And it looks like we've got another immobilizing shot coming in for 8.
It's going to be 8. The same on hit is still active, limiting Zen to 1 attack action and 1 non-attack action card during their next action phase. Zen, with 4 cards, could still present a similar line of Ancestral Harmony or Wind Chakra into Transcend into Pitch to Zen attack. There is no inertia or seek and destroy effect tied to this immobilizing shot, so Zen's worst case is maybe block for 6, attack for 2 by pitching to Kakara and then arsenaling the 4th card in hand.
Yeah. And
not a great line, but not as tragic as the last turn.
Yeah, and a personal favorite of mine is when I'm stuck to 1 action. It's like, I guess I'll just play this Warmongers. Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks like instead what we're going to have is a block for 3 and a Transcend. So reducing the damage using a drop in the ocean, and then we're going to preserve tradition to put a Chase the Tail back into the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So with 2 Chi in hand, Zen was still able to send Kakara, activate Zen, send something. It looks like another life total change was missed here.
So at this point, Zen, I believe, has 2 more life than he should because he did not gain life from the homage, but did not take 3 from the immobilizing shot.
Hopefully, it's your typical Zen game where it actually doesn't matter and they just turn you into smoke. Where they go like, yeah, I'll just transcend and I'll attack you 16 times and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Zen we have 2 Chi.
We have to preserve the integrity of the league. That means nothing.
This means the league that means nothing means everything, and I think we all know it. I'm tired of pretending that isn't true.
Okay, Riptide going to Crown. That's the first time I've noticed that Riptide was running Crown of Providence. What an interesting choice. Most of the ones I've seen have been in that mold that Nathan Crawford was playing a few months ago with the New Horizons, playing like a pseudo Lexi kind of deck.
We haven't seen a ton of defense reactions out of Riptide so far. So yeah, this does seem to be built much more like Azalea rather than Riptide.
And our Zen is just going to transcend, fail to pitch, activate the hero ability, fail to find, like you noted the previous turn, and just send in a Tiger for 1. Probably take that last card into Arsenal and try and set up a hand where I would expect them to be blocking with Traverse. Because that's the only real reason I can think of taking this kind of off turn.
Riptide, using the Crown of Providence on the Kakara, tells me either the hand is completely unplayable, and I'm talking 4 buffs or buffs and defense reactions in hand and just digging for that arrow, or has a monster hand using the Go Again Boots. Name escapes me. The Go Again Boots to block a Tiger. So Riptide using premium equipment on vanilla damage to set up a 5-card hand makes me think that the boots are absolutely getting cracked here to give this Bard to Undertow Go Again, and then there is going to be a follow-up.
No, this is a hell of a card against Zen. Because it has an aim counter,
Bard
so...
Undertow, getting to tell Zen that they cannot pitch blues on their turn is pretty good.
That's a powerful effect for sure. So Zen only blocking 1, so either having a handful of reds or having the sink below. I was hoping that, but really playing with fire there and saying like, you don't have the Rain Razors, I hope.
Covering up the 5. Zen giving the Pouncing Paws, and a Sink Below. So already we are reducing Zen's hand size. Now Zen is trying to pop off with Traverse, then the Sink Below doesn't help a lot with a big pop-off turn, pitching for 1, not being an attack. And we see
And here,
Riptide is using that Go Again, using the bow to load a Infecting Shot, and just firing off 5. If this hits, it'll get a Blood Rot, so Zen potentially looking at 7 here.
but again, Riptide pitching a Barbed Undertow to do that obviously had no other way of adding an aim counter. If you were, I was about to say, as I saw the life total change, if you're Zen here, you're just like, yeah, okay, send me the bill. I'll deal with this later. It's 7 damage.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll don't worry, I'll take the Blood Rot already. It's fine.
Just put me at 19, save yourself some trouble. Notably, Zen not using Traverse here, and using it on the Infecting Shot would have been easy. There's no follow-up to it. So Zen not having to worry about blocking an on-hit if he wanted the Chi. So Mauricio deciding not to take the Chi, probably drawing into that hand. That Sink Below may be an indicator that this is not the turn to go off.
No, and Abigail blocking.
Get a full 3 block.
And we're going to Rising Sun, Setting Moon here. Draw, put a card from the hand on the bottom. And importantly, we're going to Transcend, gain that resource. Obviously, I would imagine we're not seeing any traps, at least not any of the Go Again traps from Abigail's side of things, because something like a Tarpit Trap would go super hard into a Biting Breeze because you turn off 2 on hits effectively. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Ooh. Sacred Art Jade Tiger Domain. So we're going to Transcend again. Make 2 tigers. All your tigers get +1. And I bet Abigail is feeling a lot smarter than me about blocking that 1 damage from the Biting Breeze now.
Oh, yeah. So with 2 resources floating and a card in hand, I'm not sure, without knowing what Mauricio's build is, there are a couple of different lines here. We're probably going to grab Chase the Tail with those 2 floating resources and 3 tigers in hand. You get to attack for 1, attack for 4, attack for 4, and then the last tiger comes in for 1. Mauricio could also grab Tiger Swipe.
Also have to remember that we have the Shuko buff active already from the Biting Breeze. So that's going to be a tiger for 2 to start off. And we have 2 tigers. So we have a tiger and a Chi in hand and 2 unknown and an unknown. So best case scenario is that, well, now that that's being pitched, I imagine it's either a 0 cost or it is just going to be used for resources to pay for something like the Chase the Tail that you were talking about there. There's the Tarpit Trap. Dealing 1 damage to Mauricio, but at the same time, Zen, not a deck known for having a lot of on-hits. Mostly on play or on combo effects.
The Tarpit Trap may be a little premature here. I'm just thinking about what happens if Zen pitches the Chi to tutor out a Tiger Swipe.
We're just going to Biting Breeze here, which is going to be Biting Breeze for 1 with no on-hit. So it could be a case where Mauricio is burning that Tarpit Trap effect, or saying like, hey, do you want to block 1 with a full card?
This Tarpit Trap doing a lot of work, though. Covering up 2 from the Crouching Tiger, and then another 1 from the Biting Breeze on hit. And if we are looking at a Tiger Swipe, then covering up even more.
Absolutely.
You have Mauricio pitch the Chi, makes another Tiger with no resources floating. I'm assuming it's going to be Tiger Swipe, and there it is. Abigail with only 1 card in hand, if I'm seeing that correctly. So this Tiger Swipe is presenting a lot of damage. We've got a Crouching Tiger followed by a Tiger Swipe, and if that Tiger Swipe hits, not only does it deal damage, it will make 3 tigers
because
behind it.
If Abigail covers the next tiger, the tiger swipe has no on hit because of that tarpid
Tiger
trap.
Swipe only needs you to have, well, the Biting Breeze hit. The Biting Breeze ate the Tar Pit Trap effect.
No, did it? I thought that was blocked. Wow.
No, it was blocked. You're right.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell when you're looking at a webcam game where the Zen has decided to go 7 chain links wide.
I can't believe I missed it. You mentioned before what a good Zen player I am. So I'm usually so good at tracking Zen's board state and exactly what's happening. This is
Yeah.
really quite an embarrassment for me.
I heard all about how good a Zen player you were from Darkodius when I was over in Osaka.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big
Huge
inspiration
fan.
to Dark Odious. He loves my Zen play, especially. Like you said, the Riptide here, Abigail using the entire hand to preserve this target trap effect. Tiger Swipe is just 4 damage.
Yeah.
So this target trap
Abigail
really did
pointing
a
at that
lot of
tarpit
work.
trap, being like, no.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. No, unless I'm missing something. Abigail did it exactly right.
Yeah.
Tarpit Trap blocked the Crouching Tiger. The Tarpit Trap effect is active. Abigail blocked the 2 follow-up attacks, Biting Breeze and Crouching Tiger. And now this Tiger Swipe is eating the Tarpit Trap effect. So if there was another card in Mauricio's hand, another follow-up to this with an on-hit, then that would be active. But yes, the
Or
turn...
maybe we've missed it, and it looks like we've got 3 more
maybe we
tigers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't play Zen anymore for a reason. I play Rune Blades. You're the ninja guy.
I'm not this ninja guy, though. I'm the red ninja guy.
Yeah, you're the spicy ninja guy, not the spearmint ninja guy. I got it.
Mm-mm.
So it's just going to be a
Right.
drop.
The YouTube comment section is always very kind whenever you make a mistake, whenever you get something wrong, and people are going to very civilly tell us exactly what happened here.
It's okay. That's why I only comment on games. I don't play games on camera.
So Abigail just passing the turn, having no cards in hand, draws back up to 4.
Here we have 100 wins for 1, go again. Into 100 wins for 4, go again. Love the natty 100 wins combo line.
2 card 5, great.
Yeah.
Zen does not have the ability to transcend this turn.
And getting boulder trapped.
Active because of the 100 wins effect. So Zen takes 1, puts a -1 counter on the Shuko.
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Shuko
does the most
usually
damage to Zen.
Add a Command and Conquer, sure. Pretty solid. Abigail just electing to take 6 here, though. Obviously, when you have no arsenal, it is just a brutal assault. But being at 3 is not the place you want to be against Zen.
No. And we'll see what's in Abigail's hand, but I wonder if there were some defense reactions that they would have liked to have blocked with.
At least one. Pitching a Tarpit Trap to play out a Deadeye and load, I assume, load an arrow. And we're going to have... Oh, now that's a combination.
For a Stone Rain, yikes.
Dominated Stone Rain. On hit, hero banishes a card face down from their hand, but with Deadeye, it's also a Thoughtseize effect. So they get to look at the Zen's hand and take the best card and leave Zen to banish the worst card.
Mm-hmm. The fact that the active player gets to choose the order in which effects resolve means that, yes, Abigail gets full information of Zen's hand, takes the best card from it, leaving Zen with the worst 3, and then Zen loses even one of those. And the best case for Abigail is that the 3 remaining cards are all terrible, and Zen is now forced to either skip an arsenal or arsenal a bad card.
Absolutely. And like, as someone who's played, a decent number of TCGs, one of the things you always want to do is you want to have your choice happen first. You want to take their best card. Or, if the discard is random, if it's something like a Crippling Crush, you always want that to resolve first because they're kind of stuck then. So Zen is just going to shove the fridge of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So we're going to full block this, get a chi, and I would not feel very good right now at 3 life if I was Abigail.
No. The plus side is Abigail just took Zen's fridge, so Zen no longer has the ability to block these dominated arrows, really at all, unless he has a defense reaction in the arsenal. But, of course, the good news for Zen is preserving this 4-card hand because of the traverse effect. The chi means that Zen gets a tiger and whatever the best card in his deck is. And I believe that Zen still has all of the power pieces, at least one copy of Chase the Tail, Aspect of Tiger, Tiger Swipe, Mauling Chi. So whatever Zen's hand looks like, he will be able to find the tool to get the job done. And with Abigail at 3,
one of my favorite
situation.
things about Zen, punishes you for trying to kill him. Oh, you attacked me? Thank you. Thanks. I needed to block with this.
Was it Pro Tour Amsterdam that the strategy was trying to figure out when you don't attack Zen, when you just IP yourself because you know that Zen's traverse block is going to be much worse than the value you lost?
Yeah. Just like we learned from Matthew Broderick in War Games, the only winning move is not to play.
So Abigail here blocking with not Collapsing Trap. I had been thinking, okay, so the out here is Collapsing Trap is still in the deck, potentially shuts down Zen's turn. We saw Zen grab Chase the Tail, and if Abigail could force him to discard any Crouching Tigers, maybe that does some work. But
Breed
it
Anger,
does look like
making a tiger, sending a tiger, sending a chase. So this is going to be a 4 and then a 3. So Abigail can survive this, but it's going to take everything. You're going to have to use the whole buffalo here.
Zen having no cards in hand to turn the Breed Anger on with the Crouching Tiger, but of course Pouncing Paws has just been lurking on the board for turns and turns and turns, and finally gets cashed in to strip the last card from Abigail's hand. So Abigail's still alive, both players without armor, but giving Zen full tempo is not where you want to be when you are in Abigail's position.
No, not at all. I think you're now in a sort of spot where you need to find some really impactful traps, or just hope your Zen opponent draws bad, which is really hard when you have a deck that can search your deck for any card you want if you have a chi. But we're going to lead with 100.
How Zen could potentially draw this hand of 4 blues, but every Ninja player knows that when your opponent is at 1, even your blues present lethal.
And here we have that Collapsing Trap for 3 go again. 3 on the go again. So we're going to discard double Pouncing Chi and a Stir the Pot. That's a pretty good hand to hit with this Collapsing Trap. Because that would have been what?
Sadly, a turn late.
Still an awful lot of value from it.
So Zen's line, I believe, would have been, because Zen doesn't have the Crouching Tiger to turn on Pouncing Chi. So Zen's line is likely pitch blue Pouncing Chi to attack with Kakara, and then red Pouncing Chi for 3, Arsenal, Stir the Pot. Unfortunately, this does happen when you are playing against Zen. Sometimes you Collapsing Trap them into a better hand.
There has been at least 1 or 2 occasions in my Flesh and Blood career where I've been playing and they've Collapsing Trapped me and been like, oh, thank God the cards in my hand were not good.
This was so bad, and you just gave me the Transcend instant, or in this case, we turned a 2-card 5 into a 2-card 6. That stripped Riptide's hand, and here we've got Tiger Form Incantation, creating a Crouching Tiger and giving it +1 power, which notably, lethal damage.
I love when your weapon is twice their lethal damage. And yeah, we have a Tiger for 2. Like, Zen really is in the driver's seat here. And there's the Pouncing Chi for 4. with Go Again, thanks to the combo, blocking 4, and for passing. We have
Zen's just
survived yet another
passing
turn.
the turn. So Zen, whatever is in Zen's arsenal is not a zero-cost attack.
Or could be anything. Like, could have been the tiger, because we know there is at least one tiger floating around in the deck somewhere. And no shoot go means that tiger doesn't get any buff in power.
Riptide, of course, does need to just pass the turn. So if this is a tiger in arsenal, Kakara is going to give it 1 point of damage, which is all it needs to have. But Zen not immediately firing off the turn. Potentially drew into an awkward one, but maybe just trying to figure out how to maximize the transcend line at this point.
Looks like we're pitching 100 wins to play a spinning wheel kick. Must be a yellow 100 wins. Zen on 900 wins, I guess. Or no, they just had misplaced the counter. So yeah, we're just going to go activate Zen, get our tiger, find another spinning wheel kick, because of course they combo with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Spinning wheel kick for 5, likely going to be enough to put this game away. Zen sitting on, I believe, 2 cards in hand, 1 in arsenal. Worst case is pitch a red to Kakara for lethal.
Yeah. It looks like Abigail might just concede there. Nope, Zen is still going to have all these. Yeah, so
survives the crouching tiger for 0, though.
See, it's the little things. So well done, Mauricio. Welcome to the 1-0 bracket of the League That Means Nothing 3. And Abigail, commiserations, but welcome to the Pablo Pintor submarine bracket. Yeah, kind of shook out more or less what I expected. Zen just piling on too much pressure for Riptide to keep up with. But Abigail having a couple of spicy turns with things like Stone Rain and the immobilizing shot especially looked quite good.
Oh yeah, Riptide absolutely. Abigail's showing the power of Riptide, especially with this new aim counter equipment. As you said, from the quote-unquote Azalea armory deck. Definitely leads
spoiled
to some
on
very
this channel,
cool
by the way.
lines. Wow, you've come full circle.
Right? Not by me, obviously, by as leader of the Azalea cult himself. But some really interesting equipment, because as well it has battle warns, so you get your block with it and you get your effect, which isn't something that you see a lot of in Ranger.
No, definitely a good update for Riptide. Seeing some of the power of Riptide's lines there. We saw the battering bolt forced early blocks out of Zen. We saw plan for the worst. Could put Zen into a weird spot where he wasn't able to set up. The immobilizing shot, at least with inertial line, was so good, so premium.
Yeah, and obviously Zen just doing Zen things. Missed Fail is a really powerful set, I've been told.
It is a very powerful set. Zen definitely toned down since his release, missing Art of War and Bonds of Ancestry, but still an incredibly powerful deck, incredibly versatile, leaning more into that mid-range style of play now with more defense reactions. We didn't see Flick Flack or Tiger's Eye Reflex, but those sync blows coming in clutch, and of course, Chi being whatever you need it to be at the moment, is always powerful.
Yeah, nothing like drawing the best card in your deck, plus a card. So, with that being said, now that we're wrapping this one up, thank you for joining me on that. John, have you frozen right at the end of this fucking Discord call?
I've heard Pot of Greed opportunity to plug myself. Daily Fab gameplay on YouTube. I post gameplay reviews 3 or 4 times a week. We've been playing Aurora, moving into Jarl now.
Just, we're going to take a clean break and see if Az can do a cut there, because you froze on my screen.
Oh, you froze on my screen. Wow.
Buddies. So, with that being said, John, where can people find you? And what is it exactly that you do so that they know what they're finding?
People can find me on YouTube. Look for either Lupine Fiasco or Daily Fab Gameplay is my channel. I post gameplay reviews 3 or 4 days a week, my own Talishar gameplay, looking for mistakes, trying to improve, fixing those mistakes in the future. But I'll also talk about Aurora, talk about Syndra, very hyped for the Hunted. I was a big Draconic Ninja player back in the day until Victor said that Phi doesn't exist. But super hyped for Syndra deck building as we get more spoilers.
Cool. And you might notice if you go and you look at those, you might see another person from this channel playing okay on those games too. But thank you for joining us. Make sure if you're enjoying the League That Means Nothing 3, you tell us how much you're enjoying it down in the comments. Show myself and Lupine Fiasco some love or some abuse down there as well. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and if you aren't entirely sick of listening to me, you can find me over on Blue Sky at findlespirit.bsky.social. And John, I believe they can find you at lupinefiasco.bsky.social.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next one.